What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to day 73 of Autodesk Fusion. Today, 73 just fell off. Today what we're working on is taking this device, which takes rotational motion and converts it linear or back and forth. This is something you would kind of see on a train, for example. You can think of how the wheels are propelled forward, usually by back and forth motion by a piston. And so we're just going to create this and then call it done for today. So first thing I'm going to do is click Escape and click on New Design. All right, let's get rolling. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a base. So this is just a rectangle, a center point rectangle. Doesn't really matter how big it is because this is just for show, and so I'm kind of eyeballing most of these dimensions to begin with. But I usually do a 5 by, I think I did a 5 by 6 in that last one. No, let's do 5 by 7. Not 67. Let's try that again. Finish sketch. Let's go ahead and extrude this on out just a 1/2 inch and make it a new component. We're going to go ahead and call this component base, and then everything we're going to do is based off of this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create my circle that's going to act as my wheel, and then go from there. So before I can do that, though, we need to have a peg sticking out that acts as like the axle for the wheel to hold on to. So first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and just extrude something out about, let's do 1/2 inch in thickness. Let's make it a join because I want it to be part of my base. And then let's go in and let's start a new sketch again. This time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to project this circle right here. And then I'm going to draw another circle for whatever wheel size you're looking for. You don't want to go too large because you run into some problems downstream with that slot. What we do know is that the other half of this thing is about 2.5 inches in width. So the maximum movement that my slider is going to be moving is about 2.5 inches. So let's do 2.5 in diameter. And that way I know when my slider is rotating back and forth, or sliding back and forth as I'm rotating, I know I'm not going to beat and extend past the bounds of what my slider can do. So if you make your wheel too big, your slider is going to hit the side walls of your base, and it's just not going to work out. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this wheel. Let's extrude it out, and let's make this a new component. Click OK, and we're going to call this just wheel. All right. I'm not going to need my base right now, so just to get out of the way, I'll make it inactive. And let's go ahead and throw a peg on my wheel for that link to match with. So we're going to bring this out. Let's just do another 1/2 inch, make it a join, and that looks okay. We're almost done as far as making parts goes, but we need to make 2 more parts and we're done. For under this create, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on create and then slot, and this allows me to create a nice slot for this to rotate back and forth on. I know that maximum length is going to be a little bit less than the diameter of my wheel, so 2.5 inches should be enough clearance. And then we can, whatever size we want that slider to be. I just like a 1/4 inch for some reason. It seems to be something I repeatedly use. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut that slot out, call it OK, and here we go. Now in this neutral position, kind of the furthest to the right it's going to be, I want my peg to be. That way, when I create my slider and the distance of that link, I know we're already in a good spot. If it's not in the right spot, you might have to go and change the size of your link. So make sure that this wheel is faced to the far right or to the far left. That way you know it's going to fit in that slot appropriately. But since we're the far right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a slot that is to the far right. Create a slider Let's go ahead and just go back some distance. Create as a new component. We're going to call this our slide. And then the last thing I need to do, actually I might need to make that just a hair bit longer. Let's do that. Let's do a symmetrical extrusion. Actually, let's do asymmetrical. Let's do two sides. That way I know one side is going to be lined with my peg up here, and then my other side is going to be lined up and at least sticking out on the other end. Click OK. And there we go. That looks better. We're almost done, folks. Can't believe it. So we're going to create a sketch. We're going to create a sketch on the face of this. And hitting P on my keyboard for project. I want to match up with this circle right here and this circle right here to create my link. Everything else I'm going to make inactive. That way I'm not accidentally clicking on any other geometry. And from here, all I'm going to do is make a slightly larger circle. So a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch here, and connect the two. Hit finish sketch. I'm going to extrude this. I don't know how far to extrude it, so I'm going to go ahead and make my other parts visible again. We're going to click on this profile, and we're going to make it to where it's flush with our wheel. That looks okay. Click on new component, and we're looking good, folks. We're almost done. All we need to do is throw in our constraints and our joints, and then we're done. Before I do any of that, always, always, when you're starting your assemblies, go ahead and take your base or whatever you're going to not be moving. Go ahead and ground it, because when you start making these joints, you might run into problems if one piece isn't grounded to everything else. It's just have one piece in there that's not going to move, and you should be good to go. Okay, now I'm going to show some neat tricks when choosing joints. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell this wheel to spin around that pin. And so this is pretty easy because there's nothing else in my way. So I'm going to click on the outside edge of that wheel, click on the outside edge of that base, and we look good there. There's nothing in my way, pretty easy. However, we get right into a little bit of problem here, and I'll show you why. Because if I just click on this outside edge and this outside edge, I may not be picking the things in the way I want them. I might have done it backwards. And so what we're going to do then is when we're on this joint command, I can hover over which face I want to use. And then I know what I'm going to do is use this part as my first component. So I'm going to hold down Control on the keyboard. By doing that, it keeps this face selected, but then allows me to choose what I'm going to be doing with this face. Am I going to be choosing this point or the center of the circle, so on and so forth. It's just really easy and not having to activate and deactivate other parts that are in your way. If you can kind of see the face, but only manipulate it from there, should be good to go. Let's try that again. Okay. Somehow I flipped the axis on accident. I think I hit something on the keyboard. Okay. All right. So that looks okay. Wonderful. Click OK. Last one. We're going to join the edge of this is going to be rotating around the edge of that. It doesn't like that though. Let's check that again. We're going to have to move that down just a hair so we're not upsetting anything else. Click OK. All right, now there's another problem we're going to run into. I'm going to right click on this and animate model. Doesn't do really as expected, and that's because we haven't turned our contact sets on. So what I'm going to do is under Assemble, enable contact sets, and then right click enable all. That's just a nice shortcut way of saying none of these pieces can go through each other. If you're having some problems with contact sets and things aren't made quite right, you can get away with by selecting your sets. But I prefer if you did good part design, and then that way all contacts sets work as they need to. There are some more complicated ones that really have a hard time of just the system and the way it's built, talking to itself like a screw insert into a thread. But here's what we got so far. So we were able to build a device that converts rotational motion into linear motion, or vice versa, depending on what's doing the driving motion. And that will be it for today's videos, folks. All right, if you have any questions, let me know. This was something that was really fun to make, and if you have anything particular you want me to make, absolutely send me a message through whatever means you got, and I would love to try making that part. Take care, guys, and I'll see you on the next video.